Hey, what is going on, everybody? My name is Jonathan, and welcome back to the Pack Talk. Welcome to the last video, finally, of the team overview series, and then we're gonna get into some real fun, kind of some in-depth things, maybe talking about the NFL season. I know Week 1 has passed. I want to talk about some things, maybe going about there, or maybe just wait till Week 2 passes because the first week's always kind of weird. So I don't think we saw the true nature of some teams. But maybe there are some things to talk about. I'm going to see and look what to talk about maybe. But nonetheless, we're going to get into the primary objective right now, which is the last three teams in the NFL for the 2022 NFL season that I want to cover right now, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Tennessee Titans, and then the Washington Commanders. We're going to go ahead and get started with the Bucs right now. At quarterback, they have Tom Brady. His backups are Kyle Trask and Blaine Gabbert. At running back, they have Leonard Fournette. And honestly, that is pretty much the strength of their offense currently. Chris Godwin did go down, so honestly, Mike Evans, something about Mike Evans, I don't know. I don't see him as that good of a wide receiver. I think I take that back. He is a good wide receiver, but he's not like, I don't think he's like a stud, He's not like a Devontae Adams. He's definitely not like one of those guys, like a Justin Jefferson, like a Jamar Chase even. Like, he's just kind of there, He's a good, solid receiver. He's just not, a punch you in the throat kind of guy. Moving on, his backup running back to Lenny would be Rachaad White, which I don't really know much about. Leonard Fournette, I'm not even that thrilled about. I think, honestly, with this Bucs team, they're kind of weird because they got the whole Tom Brady situation going on with him and his wife. Is he really locked into the season? I don't know. But the defense for sure is going to have to carry, I feel. Especially since Chris Godwin is out. So we covered two wide receivers there. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin is wide receiver 1 and 2. They do have Julio Jones, which I think could be still a good backup with Tom Brady at the helm. He is getting up there in age. He's dealt with some injuries, but he did catch a deep target last week. So, if they can keep going to him, that would be very beneficial to this Bucs team. And then they have Russell Gage, and then they also have Rashad Perryman. This is like the first time in a couple videos, I think, or even ever, where I had 5 wide receivers listed for one team. But, that's a lot of wide receivers that are notable to put on this list. I mean, they have some names and people to go to. And Tom Brady's still Tom Brady, even though I think he's starting to show some age, and that offensive line has a lot of issues right now. He's going to have to get the ball out quick every single week. Especially with that new regime at OL. So yeah, it's a very interesting and weird team for the Bucs. A lot of people have them going to the Super Bowl, but I think their weaknesses with that O-line and just kind of a little lack of offense there, I think, is going to catch up to them. I think they're definitely, with Tom Brady, of course, primed to make a playoff run, but how far will they go is the question. At tight end, they have Cameron Brate, which is an okay tight end, and then Ryan Succop at kicker. Again, at defense, I could put in the whole defense, really. They're still stacked on that defense. They have Akeem Hicks. They have Vita Vea. They have Devin White, Levante David, Shaquille Barrett, Jamel Dean, Anton Whitfield, Mike Edwards and Keanu O'Neal at free safety, and then Carlton Davis a third. That covers every single need every single need at the defensive position. So there's nothing lacking there. They have a good defense. They held the Cowboys to 3 points this past weekend. I see no problems there. Top 3, I would probably go Mike Evans for fantasy-wise if he's still out there. I would go Mike Evans. Would definitely go Leonard Fournette, even though I'm not a big fan of Leonard Fournette for sure. And then Bucs defense, of course. And then notable, of course, I got to put Brady up there. A lot of people might not draft Brady. He's just never been a good fantasy quarterback for most of his career. Last year he went on a tear, yes, but for most of his career he's not really been that good of a fantasy quarterback. And then Chris Godwin when he gets back from injury, uh, hopefully, if someone wants to drop him. Okay, these next two teams I'm probably going to fly right through because there's not a lot to say about them. The Tennessee Titans and Washington Commanders, in my opinion, are very close to each other rather than farther apart. I don't think the Tennessee Titans are that good of a team. They lost to the Giants this past weekend by 1 point. I don't know. They don't have a lot of defense. Neither does Washington. But I think Washington might actually have a better offense, but we'll get into that. We're going to cover the Titans right now. At quarterback, they have Ryan Tannehill. They have Malik Willis, which, honestly, put Malik Willis on the radar. I think he's going to take Ryan Tannehill's job come mid-season, honestly. He's got the tools that Ryan Tannehill doesn't. The age of the pocket quarterback is kind of going away, I think. Malik Willis was on a tear this preseason. I think he showed enough to get him some regular season reps this year for sure. But they do have the king and Derrick Henry, that running back. He's a stud, but like how much can they keep feeding him the ball until he's starting to whittle away and his talent starts to shrivel just a little bit? And then they have Dontrell Hilliard at backup running back. This is probably wow. I didn't know that the wide receiver core was this bad for Tennessee after A.J. Brown left, but it's pretty bad. At wide receiver when they have Robert Woods, and that's enough said, to be honest, because Robert Woods was just known as a slot kind of guy, wide receiver 2, even 3 maybe on the Rams. And now he's a wide receiver 1, which I don't think he got much attention last week at all. So I don't know what to think about that. And then they have Treylon Burks, who they drafted this past year. I don't know what to make much of him yet. I don't think he got enough play time either. And then Kyle Phillips, which I see people sleeping on him. I don't know, though. He didn't get much action either. He did get a lot of targets, though. So that wide receiver core is bad. And then at tight end, Austin Hooper, not a big fan of him either. And then Jeff Swain. Like, that whole wide receiver core, period, it's just bad. It's just plain bad. I don't know. The Titans might be a below 500 team this year. I mean, Derrick Henry goes down, this team is toast, like a 5-win team, to be honest. On defense, there are only like 4 names I see. They have Jeffrey Simmons, they have Danico Autry, they have Bud Dupree, and then Kevin Byard, which, I mean, Kevin Byard's not even all that, I don't think. But he's worth a note. That's about all they got on defense. And then I guess top 3 if you're still looking for fantasy options. Derrick Henry probably got drafted. Robert Woods might be on waivers. I don't know. I would pick him up, though. I mean, these are the best options on the Tennessee Titans right now. It goes from Derrick Henry to Robert Woods, in my opinion. And then Ryan Tannehill, because he's a quarterback. I guess, quarterback gets points, so definitely a top 3 option. Notable, I think Malik Willis again. I would look for him late in the season, put a waiver pick in for him, maybe home on the bench if you have an extra spot. I think he's going to take his job either late this season or mid-season. I don't think Ryan Tannehill makes it out the whole season. And then Reggie Bullock at kicker, which I didn't say, but yeah, Reggie Bullock's kicker, or not Reggie Bullock, that's a basketball player. Randy Bullock at kicker for the Tennessee Titans would be another notable pick. He's an okay kicker. Okay, now we're going to go over the Washington Commanders, the final team for the 2022 NFL season team overview series, which I think, honestly, is a better offense, like I said, than the Tennessee Titans. They have Carson Wentz, who went off, to be honest. I know it was the Jags, but he had many touchdowns for week 1. Again, week 1's weird. I don't think Washington's going to be necessarily good because they also have a pretty weak defense, and Chase Young's out right now. Don't know when he's going to be back. So I think it's going to starting to come to fruition of how bad this team is. I think they lose a couple along the way now that they won their first game. So they got Carson Wentz. Sam Howell out of North Carolina they drafted is their backup. They have Antonio Gibson at running back 1 for now. They want to put Brian Robinson in at running back 1 when he's done recovering from his gunshot wound, which was just terrible. And they also have J.D. McKissick. I mean, same running back room, except for the add of Brian Robinson, of course. that did pretty okay last year. Kind of a little bumpy, but all around not too bad. Wide receiver room, you have Terry McLaurin, you have Curtis Samuel, and then you have Jahan Dotson, who they also drafted, who caught 2 touchdowns this past weekend. Don't know if he's going to keep that up, but he's getting looks from Carson Wentz, which is always a positive for fantasy-wise, and just all-around season 2. Tight end, they have Logan Thomas, and then Joey Sly, kicker. On defense, like I said, Chase Young is injured at right tackle. So they have Jonathan Allen in right now. They have Montez Sweat at defensive end, and then Kendall Fuller at corner. That's about it on that defense, to be honest. Like I said, pretty weak defense. Okay offense, I guess. The defense could give up points if that offense can keep up to do good. I think Washington's not as bad as people are saying, but honestly, probably only a 7-8 win team maybe this year. They need more defense, and then maybe they could be surprising next year, next 2 years or so. Never know. That division's also pretty weird too, to say the least. Moving on to the top 3 fantasy if you need. Antonio Gibson, which I forgot to mention, Antonio Gibson was lining up as a punt returner, so I think when Brian Robinson comes back, which I have him as a notable fantasy pick too, Gibson might not see a lot of time at running back and get many points for fantasy owners come that time. Then you have Terry McLaurin and then Carson Wentz. The other 2 notable I have besides Brian Robinson would be Jahan Dotson, which I like because he saw targets, like I said, from Carson Wentz, so I like that. And then J.D. McKissick is an okay utility guy to have on your fantasy team for like a deep flex league. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning into the last video of this series. Don't forget to subscribe if you do come across these videos. We're going to start getting into some fun stuff for this season now. I'm going to try to think of some ideas here to talk about with you guys, and leave a comment, know what you guys think on these upcoming videos. And this series as a whole, how do you guys like it or whatnot? I'll see you guys in the next one.